Epstein. The Epstein scandal should actually be called the Billionaire scandal, because there is a 5-ton economic elephant in the room that nobody, and I really mean nobody, seems to be focusing on. Which, when you've got so much distraction, in fairness, I suppose it's hard to focus on the elephant because, you know, you've got this private island with 14 staff members whose job title is don't ask questions. It's so distracting, the horror show of it, like the scandal, the corruption, the private island, the powerful men, the unspeakable crimes, and the constant reveal of something else and somebody else being... It's like a never-ending episode of Scooby-Doo, isn't it?
Why, it's Dr. Grimsley, the head of the Weather Eye Project.
Mr. Roger Stevens, the TV station manager. Oh? Zoinks! It's Mr. Carswell, the bank president.
That we miss what is actually happening. Scientifically, there is a direct causal link between having extreme wealth and power and acting just like Jeffrey Epstein. Over the next 10-12 minutes, I'm going to walk you through the economics, the behavioural economics, the neuroscience and psychology that shows clearly that Jeffrey Epstein is not an aberration. Jeffrey Epstein is an inevitability in a system that lets wealth pool to obscene extremes. He's a harrowing symptom, but he's not the actual disease. Because the science shows clearly that Jeffrey Epstein is the lead henchman in all this, but the real villain of the Epstein story is extreme and concentrated wealth and power. Part 1. Power rewrites the brain. So to start, let's get into the neuroscience, because this is where it all begins. So there was a study at McMaster University by somebody called Sukhvinder Obi, who ran experiments measuring how power impacts neural processes. And he had participants reflect on times when they had power over someone else, and then measured their brain activity in an fMRI. And what he found was chilling, that power inhibits the brain's mirroring function. And you might or might not know this, but mirroring neurons, they are the kind of neurological process that lets us empathize. When we see somebody in pain, our brain literally mirrors that experience for us, so we emotionally understand it. It's involuntary and it's fundamental to being human. And having power shuts that down. And that's not theory. This isn't rhetoric. It's fact. Repeatable, peer-reviewed studies show that effect again and again. Being super rich rewires your brain to make you treat other humans as accessories to use. Society madly calls it success. Neurology calls it damage. Therapy calls it, we really need to talk a lot. Sit down. The empathy gap and isolation. So UC Berkeley psychologists Paul Piff and Dacha Keltner ran multiple studies on how wealth affects the brain. And what they found is disturbing. And I've mentioned this before in my other videos, that as people accumulate wealth and power, their compassion and empathy measurably decline. They become worse at recognizing emotions in other people's faces, literally the foundation of empathy. In one study, they watched drivers at intersections, and luxury car drivers were more likely to cut off motorists and ignore pedestrians. In another, they told participants, to take candy from a jar marked "for children only." And high-income participants took twice as much candy as low-income participants, literally taking candy from children. Step 1, take the candy. Step 2, invoice the children for storage fees on the jar. The study should be called "Who Wants to Be a Cartoon Villain?" I mean, it's mad how clearly it can be shown again and again. But on top of that, if you then add isolation, because extreme wealth doesn't just give you power over others, it separates you from others. Every friendship might be about your money. Every relationship might be transactional, which activates the brain's threat detection system, the same process that responds to actual physical danger. I'm so rich, I mean, I can afford anything in the world, except the feeling of trust. And neuroscience shows clearly that isolation causes measurable brain damage. Let me repeat it, because it's clear. Extreme wealth damages your brain's ability to connect with other human beings and feel empathy. And another part of this is how the wealthy justify this to themselves. Because nobody out there is thinking that they're the villain of their own story, are they? This never happens.
Have you noticed that our caps have actually got little pictures of skulls on them?
I don't,
Hans, are we the baddies?
Which is a great sketch, because that never happens. Piff and Keltner's research found that wealthier people are more likely to agree that greed is justified, beneficial, and morally defensible. They literally develop an ideology that says self-interest is not just acceptable, but virtuous in itself.
The point is, ladies and gentlemen, that greed, for lack of a better word, is good. Greed is right. Greed works. Greed clarifies, cuts through, and captures the essence of the evolutionary spirit. Greed in all of its forms. Greed for life, for money, for love, knowledge, has marked the upward surge of mankind, and greed, you mark my words, will not only save Teldar paper, but that other malfunctioning corporation called the USA. Thank you very much.
Morally right. And this was shown clearly in UC Berkeley students from upper class background who had what those researchers called essentialist explanations for social hierarchy. They genuinely believed that great people naturally rise to the top and people at the bottom have character flaws, that the world is a meritocracy and people get what they deserve. The wealthy convince themselves that their wealth is evidence of their moral worth, so whatever they do must be acceptable. That is a scientifically studied fact. They believe they are the good guys, the job creators, the innovators, the philanthropists.
All jobs growth comes from entrepreneurs.
So what are you saying to the 99% there? Are you saying go get a job?
Well, you need wealth creators in the economy who are building something. You take Gymshark. People who work at Gymshark, they're super glad that this guy started the company. They're really happy that there's a company. Otherwise, where would they go? What would they work? Where would they work?
It's a green light to do whatever feels best because they are the leaders, which leads exactly to the type of behaviours that we're seeing again and again in the Epstein files. And this then brings us to structural impunity. And what I mean by that is all of these neurological and psychological changes happen in an environment where billionaires face no consequences, essentially. The justice system just doesn't apply to billionaires like it applies to everyone else. For example, Epstein got a sweetheart plea deal that was literally illegal.
Also, of course, of note is the fact that Epstein faced that massive indictment back in 2006, but ultimately that was sealed as part of that plea deal that many call highly unusual. My next question is, why isn't this double jeopardy if he already signed a plea deal in a case about sexual misconduct with minors?
So first of all, I'd call the plea deal that he got in Florida, the non-prosecution agreement, more than highly unusual. I would call it completely unprecedented. I don't know that I've ever seen a deal that lenient in a case like this.
HSB laundered money for drug cartels. No criminal prosecution.
One of the 10 biggest banks operating in America, the British bank SSBC, was under fire for using their bank to enable drug lords, even suspected terrorists. ABC's chief investigative correspondent Brian Ross tracked down the men at the top.
And internal documents show HSBC executives knew exactly what they were doing. We are allowing organized criminals to launder their money, wrote one executive. Today, bank executives sheepishly admitted there had been cover-ups of the relationships and suspect accounts were left open for years.
Is there any way that should have been allowed to happen at the time?
No, Senator.
No criminal prosecution. The 2008 financial crisis destroyed millions of lives, but not a single major banker went to prison. The only crime in 2008 was being poor at the wrong time. Yes, terrible timing really. You should have scheduled your poverty for a more convenient quarter. Yes, I really am going to have to take your house away. Oh, it's awkward, isn't it? Still, it's just one of those things, I guess. Couldn't have been prevented. When you face no real consequences, your brain updates its model of reality. You learn that rules don't apply to you, that you can do whatever you want. For billionaires and the super rich, the law is more of a suggestion box. Yeah, it'd be good if you did this, but, you know, we're not going to come after you if you don't. Manufacturing vulnerability. And here's a part of it that everyone misses when they talk about Epstein. And I think it's the most important part. That the same system that creates abusers also creates victims. When the top 1% controls more wealth than the bottom 90%. Like right now, inequality is so high that even the IMF says it's out of control. I mean, it's in plain sight. When billionaires can buy islands, when teachers need second jobs, when Jeff Bezos makes more in 1 minute than his warehouse workers make in a year, you are not just creating damaged billionaires. You're creating millions of desperately vulnerable people. Just think of what that means. If you're a young woman, 18, 19, 20 years old, working 2 jobs and you still can't make rent, student loans crushing you, your family can't help, they're drowning too, and then someone super rich offers you more money than you've ever seen, real money to fly to an island and just hang. Money that could change your life, pay off debt, help your family, give you breathing room. And you get there and you're alone and everyone else seems to be accepting what's happening. Well, you can always leave whenever you wish. It's an island. I'm literally I'm trapped on an island. What am I going to do? Swim for it? It's economics with a gun on the table. What do you want to do? Epstein literally operated in a system specifically designed to create desperate people. We should really be calling this the Epstein economy. The same tax policies that let Epstein accumulate obscene wealth and others also defund education, destroy social safety nets, crushes unions, makes housing unaffordable. That's not coincidental. Inequality made Epstein's crimes possible because the system creates both the monster and the circumstances that deliver the victims to his door. So when you combine all of those facts, the empathy gap, the neurological change from having power, the isolation, the moral licensing, the structural impunity, and the manufactured vulnerability due to the inequality, you don't get an aberration. You don't get a one-off monster. You get inevitability. You create people whose brains are literally damaged in ways that prevent them from seeing other people as fully human. A system that allows billions to pool in individual hands while others struggle to survive creates monsters. And that's not to take responsibility away from these abusers. Of course, they should pay for their crimes, their horrific crimes. But don't ignore the fact that abusers is what this system creates, reliably, predictably, like a factory. Except instead of making cars, the current economic system is making monsters. And nobody wants to shut down the factory because the factory owners are running everything. Oh, let's go to the media. Oh, surprisingly, they don't want to shut the factory. Oh, they own the factory as well. But when you hear the word billionaire, you should feel the same disgust in your gut as when you hear the word paedophile. And if you're thinking, well, actually, Barry, that feels unfair. Congratulations. Your empathy systems still work, but their empathy systems don't work. Billionaires are empathy damaged. Or as Bill Burr puts it really well here,
but if somebody is working 40 hours a week, 160 hours a month, and they can't make their rent, you're not paying them enough money. Maybe you should just be worth $900 million.
Yeah.
Like, how does a CEO take a 8-figure bonus and none of your employees have dental insurance? They can't even go out and get a filling. Is these nerd billionaires out there saying, I want my employees to come to work terrified, go to bed terrified, wake up terrified?
Essentially, I'm saying that if you're truly horrified by Epstein, help dismantle the system that manufactures the monsters. And we need to start doing that boringly, deliberately, with proper taxation. because it's no coincidence that Epstein was a tax advisor to the rich and powerful. We need a substantial and effective wealth tax. The first step to stopping predators like Epstein isn't better law enforcement or stricter monitoring. It's fixing the obscene inequality that creates both the abuser's pathology and the victim's vulnerability. If you fix the wealth gap, you eliminate both sides of the equation. And that's how you stop the next Epstein. Because we don't stop monsters by hunting them one by one like whack-a-mole. You stop whack-a-mole by turning the game off at the plug. Because extreme wealth has incredible PR. In fact, this is how I'm going to end this monologue, with a little bit of stand-up, which is about how good the PR of billionaires is. Because it's so good that we clearly worship the monsters that create the problem in the first place. I hope you like it, and thanks for watching.
I mean, Batman is not a superhero, he's a supervillain, right? Now, because I was thinking, what is Batman, right? Batman is basically a really rich guy that thinks he's going to solve the whole world's problems by inventing a load of tech, right? You know, oh what, there's a load of problem in Gotham, oh, I'll build my Batcopter, my Batmobile, but Batman never spends one bat cent on the real cause of Gotham's problems. Why is Gotham overrun with crime? The problem's fundamentally economic, isn't it? Yeah? Like, if Batman really cared about Gotham's crime, like, I'll tell you what, if I had $1 billion, because people say, I said this to my friend, and my friend was like, no, Batman's the best superhero. And the reason why is because he doesn't have superpowers. I was like, Batman has superpowers. He's the billionaire Bruce Wayne. And being a billionaire is the best superpower you can have. Like, if I wake up tomorrow with a different if I wake up tomorrow with a genuine superpower, the superpower of flight, right? I get to fly myself to work. Having a great commute. If it's not raining, I save £6 on an oyster. If I wake up tomorrow with $1 billion, I fly my jet over work, bombing the HR department. Yeah? Like, seriously, you give me $1 billion, you give me $1 billion, I can solve crime in Gotham like that, right? No, Bruce, listen, Batman, whatever you name is, Elon, right? What you do is you go to the most rundown part of Gotham, right? And you open an artisanal bakery, escape room, a kombucha brewery, and you let the hipsters drive those criminals out. It's called gentrification, isn't it, Bruce? Yeah. You know what, Bruce? You would have learned that in business school, wouldn't you? If you weren't too busy dressing up in tights and punching the mentally ill. You know what? And I'm glad your parents are dead. Yeah. No, I said it, I am. I'm glad it... Who takes an 8-year-old to an opera? That's it.